as well. You go and tell the whole world that this is how I am. Your father is the origin of that blessing. And that's why you found, what does our Imam say? He says that your father has 4 rights over you. These rights are of the utmost importance. That whenever you remember something which is great in you, your father's the root. What are the 4 rights? Number 1, never walk ahead of your father when he's walking into a gathering. Your father's walking in somewhere, don't walk ahead of him. Until my father enters the gathering, then I enter. If my father hasn't entered the gathering, I'll wait. I'll wait for him to enter, then I'll enter. Then the Imam says, don't sit before he sits. Today, you find people who find it normal that they'll sit down even though their father hasn't sat down. I remember one of the speakers of Ahlul Bayt, a very good friend of mine, when his father would sit on the minbar, when his father's walking in towards the minbar, wherever he is, he'll stand up until his father sat down on the minbar, then he sits back down. Wherever he is. He'll never sit before his father sits. Today, subhanAllah, we come back home when we've all gone out as a family. You come back home, the father's just about putting his jacket on, the kids are already on the remote control watching television. You come for the dinner, the father's still coming in, and you find the kids are already on the table eating. Imam says, don't sit before he sits. Don't walk ahead of him. He also, what does he also go and say? Don't call him by his name. Today, subhanAllah, calls him by his name. Even in this, The Simpsons, he always says to him, Homer, Homer, doesn't he? Bart never calls him by his name. He always says, Homer, Homer, Homer. Even though one time Bart was a baby and he remembered his dad, and he's trying to remember what was the first words he said. Was it dad? Was it Homer? And he said, Homer. Even that was his first words. Today you hear people saying, hey, Nicky, come here. Steve, come here. You say to him, who's Nicky and Steve? He says, my dad. Why your dad? You call him by his first name. You find the Imam says the 3rd right of your dad. You don't call him by what? You don't call him by his name, rather you call him by a title. In the Quran, whenever you see a son speak to his dad, always, Ya Abati. Isn't it? Ya Abati. He doesn't say, Ya Ibrahim, if'al ma tu'mar. Ya Abati, if'al ma tu'mar. Satajiduni insha'Allah minal sabirin. So the point here is the 3rd one is that you don't call him by his name, but the 4th one Imam mentions is important. You don't act in a way which brings abuse to your dad's reputation. That's a major problem we have today. You, as a young man or as a young woman, that dad works so hard to build your reputation, to build your life, to work his socks off so that you can be something. And instead you ruin his reputation in the community. Like your dad, when he walks into a mosque, he wants to hold his head up high. That's my son. That's my daughter. That's someone I'm proud of. Today there are dads who walk into mosques, he puts his head down because he knows people know how his son behaves. He knows people know how his daughter behaves. Don't get me wrong, what people think doesn't necessarily mean that you're bad, but it has proved to be a long way affecting reputations. Imam says, don't bring backbiting onto yourself. Don't bring riba onto yourself. How many dads in communities today can't even go to a mosque because their sons or daughters have damaged their reputations? That when they enter the mosque, everyone's like, look who it is. The one who's got this son or the one who's got this daughter.